Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to see how we can use promise.all and promise.allSettled. These are promise combinators. They take multiple promises as an array and they returns them as single promise. Let's start from promise.all. So first of all, promise.all runs multiple promises in parallel. When it returns them when all succeeds. We used to call this this promise.all that it fails first. It fails immediately if one fails. So that for us to use promise.all, we use it when we need all promises to be executed. Once one fails, it will fail everything. Let's look on when we can use promise.all. We can use promise.all when we need all data. Example, in payment processing, where everything that user will pass through will be needed. In creating an order or in authentication flow. If one fails, it stops everything. That's when we can use promise.all, when everything is needed, so that once one fails, it fails everything. So let's see how we can use promise.allSettled. Promise.allSettled, it waits for it works like promise.all, but the difference is it waits for every promise to be executed. It never slows an error. We will first wait for every promise to be resolved, and once everything is resolved, that's when we see the execution. And the good thing of this, it tells you which succeeded and which fails, but it doesn't give the response at all. It first provide this array of object that contains status and the value. Once there is an error, it gives status of rejected and the reason why that has been rejected. So when do we have to use promise.allSettled? Promise.allSettled, it is perfect for dashboards. Let's say you want to show the number of users, the comments written by such user. For example, we can use this in news widget and ads widget, where everything is not needed, where we can even use one API. So let's compare these promise combinators, promise.all and promise.allSettled. The first feature is fails first. We know that promise.all will fail first. Once some of the promises got rejected, it will reject everything. But promise.allSettled, it doesn't fail first. It waits for all. We know that promise.all stops early once something gets rejected, but for promise.allSettled, it has to wait for everything to be resolved or rejected. Slows an error. Promise.all slows an error, but promise.allSettled doesn't slow an error. Promise.all, it is best for dependent tasks, but promise.allSettled, it is best for independent tasks. Let's see how we can use promise.all to fetch all these three APIs. So we will fetch it in parallel. So first of all, as you can see here, we have async await function. As we know that async await function will always return a promise. Async and await is just a syntactic sugar which is built on promises, normal promises that we have, promise chaining. So first of all, for us to do it, we'll first create a variable and then give these variables the URL of the server where I want to fetch. So then we have started like this. We have created a variable called keep it, and then with promise.all. We know that promise.all always takes an array. That's why we have used here arrays, and then we are fetching those variables inside the array in promise.all. And we need to use await for us to avoid to execute it array, so that first of all we have to wait for this. Once it gets resolved or rejected, that's when we get the response. So and then after this we have used keepit.map. This map, we have used map here because we have an array inside here. We have array of promises. This keepit will return the array of promises. So that's why we used map to loop through this array so that we can change every response into JSON. But you can ask yourself, so why we have used this second promise.all since we have already used it here. We know that this promise.all, this first variable, will produce promise. Like it took these three promises that will resolve to single promise, and that single promise will result to the response. But the question here is, once we change this response into JSON, this will return the new promise. It will return the new array of promises. So to mean that we will not have single promise here. We will have multiple promise in an array. So that's why we use promise.all to combine all those multiple promises into single promise that will return to the response. Yes, that's why we used it like that. So and then for us to get data, we have used the array destructuring so that we can get user, post, and comments. So and then we are returning users.username to mean the username, the posts, and comments. So we used then to get what resolved and catch the errors. Let's try to run this version of our code and see the response. So you can see that we get the user. This is the name of the user. We get posts. This is the post, and we have the comments. So this is how we can use promise.all. This is how we can use it. So guys, this is how we do it. For more videos like this, please make sure to subscribe, like, share, and comment.